the man God took seriously. History often remembers educated men of refinement, men whose words were polished before they were spoken. But from time to time, history is interrupted by a man who does not fit the pattern. One who is not a scholar, not a king, and not a reformer with books and credentials. Dwight Lyman Moody had no seminary degree, no command of grammar, no natural eloquence to impress the elite. Yet before his life ended, he would preach to millions, awaken 2 continents, and help shape the course of modern evangelical Christianity. Not because he was impressive, but because he was available. This is not the story of brilliance. It is the story of obedience taken seriously. Episode 1, Born into Poverty, 1837 to 1844. Dwight Lyman Moody was born on February 5, 1837, in Northfield, Massachusetts, a quiet rural town where survival depended on soil, seasons, and strength. He was the 6th of 9 children. His parents were not wealthy. They were not influential. They were faithful people trying to endure. Then, when Dwight was only 4 years old, his father died suddenly. There was no warning, no preparation, no provision. His mother, Betsy Moody, was left widowed, pregnant, and responsible for 9 children in a society with no welfare system and little mercy for the poor. Poverty became Dwight Moody's first teacher. Education became irregular. Discipline became inconsistent. Stability became rare. From childhood, he learned that life did not slow down for suffering. Episode 2, A Conversion No One Saw, 1844 to 1856. At 17, Moody left home for Boston, hoping for work and direction. Instead, he found noise, ambition, and religion without power. He attended church because his employer required it, not because he understood faith. Then one day, a Sunday school teacher named Edward Kimball made an uncomfortable decision. Kimball entered the shoe store where Moody worked and spoke plainly to him about Christ. There was no pulpit, no altar call, no audience. Only truth, spoken in trembling obedience. A young man was confronted with eternity. Moody later said that the light of God broke into his soul that day. History would remember Moody, but heaven recorded Edward Kimball. Episode 3, Chicago and the Gospel with Hands, 1856 to 1861. Moody moved to Chicago, a city growing faster than its conscience. Chicago was loud, chaotic, and unfinished. Much like Moody himself, he sold shoes for income, but he gave his life to people no one wanted. He chased children through streets, dirty children, forgotten children. He filled rented pews with the unwanted. He turned a saloon into a Sunday school session. When churches refused the poor, Moody refused to stop. He built something new. Revival, he learned, is not clean. It is always costly. Episode 4, War taught him urgency, 1861 to 1865. When a civil war erupted, Moody went not as a soldier, but as a servant. He stood beside dying men. He watched souls cross into eternity without warning. From that moment on, Moody understood something many never learn. Tomorrow is not promised. Delay truly costs. From that time, he would never again preach casually. Episode 5, The Night Chicago Burned, 1871. Unfortunately, there was one more lesson he was yet to learn. On October 8th, 1871, Moody ended a sermon by telling his audience to think about their decision until the following week. That night, the Great Chicago Fire consumed the city. Thousands lost everything. Hundreds died. Moody never forgave himself for postponing eternity. From that night forward, every sermon ended with a call to decision. Episode 6, Sankey and the Sound of Revival, 1870 to 1875. When Ira Sankey sang, people listened. When Moody preached, consciences answered. Together, they stripped revival of theatrics and returned it to conviction. No manipulation, no politics, only truth. Episode 7, Britain Trembles, 1873 to 1875. British elites mocked Moody's grammar, but then crowds gathered. Their hearts broke, and revival followed. Even Charles Spurgeon recognized what God was doing. God had chosen an unpolished man again. Episode 8, Building What Outlived Him. Moody refused celebrity. He built institutions instead. Moody Bible Institute, Northfield Schools, Bible conferences for ordinary believers. His vision was simple. Equip many, not glorify one. Episode 9, Earth is Receding, 1899. On December 22nd, 1899, Moody's life quietly ended. His final words were not dramatic. Earth is receding. Heaven is opening. He left no empire, only impact. Wesley disciplined the will. Finney confronted the conscience. Spurgeon proclaimed truth. Kuhlman yielded fully to the Spirit, while Moody mobilized the ordinary. His life confirmed again that God has always used willing vessels. God is not waiting for your perfection. He is waiting for your surrender. The question is not whether he still does. The question is whether we still respond. If this challenged you, arise and be earnest. Like the video, subscribe for more inspiring videos, and share with other Christians.